Dallas, once again, we're live.
It is
It's
Wednesday
night.
Yeah.
And here we are.
I looked a little too enthusiastic in that thumbnail then.
Yeah.
I tried to balance it and I got it way off the other side now.
It seems that wait, let me tilt that thing just a hair, right?
Well, nobody's on yet. We already got a thumbs up and nobody's on. George Bonnie. Barking good.
There they are.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Rolling in already. All right. What's happening, guys? Danny Boyd, John Trudell. What's happening? Los Cadaver, Mitten Made Muscle, Nomad Deluxe. Yeah, I like that. I got the shop, the landlord. He's got an El Camino. It's been sitting. It's 75 El Camino.
Oh, all right.
And it's been sitting for a few years. He's going to bring it for us to do a resurrection run.
Oh, like get it running for after it's set.
Yeah, so we actually have.
It's a colonnade body, right?
Yeah.
So, I love those.
So we're going to have the heaviest doors on earth.
I know, but they also got that smuggler's cove that's badass.
So we're actually going to have a Chevy, an actual Chevy, hanging around the shop for a week.
Man, let's take the motor out and put a Mopar in it.
We'll put a Buick in it. So what's going on? George Bonnie, the legendary Miata. Winky the Miata. That's how we decided to call her Winky.
What's today's topic? John Trudell's asking. I actually saw somebody ask during your when you did the updating on that guy's Mopar electronic distributor with the mechanical advance. Yeah. Somebody asked we should do that for an HEI.
I agree. And now that we have the Chevy coming in,
we can do that.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he'll mind having the thing be a little snappier.
Well, you don't even have to weld nothing on that.
No, I know.
That's you just change the weights in the cam in the center.
Yes. Let's see.
Well, you're not going to see it 10 hours after it's streamed. You're here now, 2011 Metal Maniac.
Matt asked the slant in the Miata sounded so good. I'm waiting on the drive shaft. That's it. I finished everything I needed to do under the car today, except for the drive shaft. So as soon as the drive shaft is in, I plug it in and we go for a ride. I mean, with any luck, I get the drive shaft tomorrow.
Pentastar is asking, did I like the Jeep Sport he sent me? And he did send me a picture of a Jeep Sport. Somebody really built a race car out of a Jeep Sport, which it looks exactly like I thought it was going to. Badass, right? Because it's got the solid straight axle in the front. That's ideal for drag racing if everybody doesn't know, because your suspension geometry doesn't change as the acceleration of the car happens.
That's the truth. That's the only advantage really to a straight front axle.
Will it do a burnout, the Miata? That's what Danny Boyd's asking.
Mark Cosentino, shout out from Goodfellas, Staten Island. That was like, have you ever seen Goodfellas?
I have. Yeah.
The beginning of that, that's my childhood. That was me.
You were like punching people in the face with brass knuckles?
No. The earlier part. We went into the cab stand and taking care of like little tasks and selling, things and stuff like that. It was my childhood.
That's cool.
But greetings, like the good fellow.
Andrew Button's asking, do you think a straight axle car with slicks can hit harder on the back end? I would have to say no, probably is about the same, because that's a lot of its rear suspension.
Well, here's the thing about straight axle cars is that they don't transfer the way conventional front end cars do, right? So generally speaking, a straight axle car has got leaf springs in the front, and the leaf springs don't react. They don't unload the same way that a coil spring or a torsion bar front end will. So you don't really get that movement in the front end, that transfer the same way you do on a softer on a conventional front suspension car. So that's one of the reasons why if you're going to build a straight front axle car, you kind of have to build the weight transfer into the car itself, because you can't count on it, doing that.
So Fubar has already put the AHR link up.
Because Fubar
is on it.
An advanced species. He's from another, and he's just taking care of stuff.
He's all a man. I've got to go through my routine as soon as I log in here.
Boom. Exactly.
Yeah. Eric Miller's asking, Uncle Tony, do you know any manual transmission overhaul kits that are USA made with Timken bearings? If so, where can I get a kit for an NP435?
I have no idea. I just have a bunch of random old transmissions that I grab parts out of as I need them. automatic and manual. So I don't know where to buy any of that stuff.
I found a
should,
place when I did my ZF 5-speed and my Ford F250. I cannot remember for the life of me the name of it. Was like Powertrains USA or something along those lines, but they had a shop in San Diego and they were a distribution shop only for transmission shops. And but you can order it from them online, and that's where I got my kit, which it came with. You know, it was pretty much the OEM style pieces. You know, they weren't some cheap junk.
Unfinished projects, a sketch welding at Garrett's Distributor. Hey, we're very time constrained. You know, if a video goes more than like 16 or 17 minutes, it plummets, right? So when we do these things,
TransStar, that's it.
we gotta blow them out real fast, right? And that's one of the reasons, you know, we do shit like that. It's just like rip it apart, get a couple of welds in there, we'll throw it back together, get it in the car, you know, because we have very time constraint, you know.
Well, this is how awesome the followers are here on this.
Okay.
This guy TX Text Turbo 2010 chimes in and says TransStar. That's exactly the place I was talking about. That's exactly where I got it.
Let's see. They'll have Cabral welded. Derek drives Dodge. Novak Conversions has very comprehensive overall kit for the MP 435. Good to know. Novak Conversions.
Well, this guy is saying, Pentastar is saying, Dallas, I've seen the May 1970 hot rod with the Buick's experimental V8s.
I have that.
Do you really?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I need to borrow it. I don't have it. I've never even seen it.
I'm going to have to dig it out a little bit, but I've got it.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, I'll trade you then for a little while. How's that? I got Burt Monroe's biography.
Actually, I have.
If you have time to read.
I have that issue with the Buicks and also the 1968, early 1968 issue with the Pontiacs.
Pontiac, like the experimental Pontiac stuff?
Yeah, because both Buick and Pontiac were both going crazy.
Oh yeah, Oldsmobile had some awesome stuff.
I know
too.
they did, but I don't know what that issue is. But I have the Buick and the Pontiac issues of Hot Rod Magazine put on the side somewhere, so I'll dig them out.
Well, that one thing that always, if you watch anything on Facebook or YouTube, the thing that always comes up is that experimental quadrajet intake manifold for the Oldsmobile. Mm-hmm. That thing is so badass. I'm sure there's nothing in the world that could use it. You know, gosh, I couldn't imagine what could use like all that CFM.
Angel Sierra, thank you, sir. Give me a suggestion for the best cam for an 88 318 that will still have enough vacuum for power brakes. Heads are ported and matched to the 4-valve intake, 4V. That's a Ford. You see, somewhere in your past is a Ford, right? The 4V. So yeah, I make this recommendation that everybody that has a low compression streetable 318, right? Go with the Hughes Whiplash cam. Right? I have one in my 273 that I drive every day, and it's magic. It's perfect. It'll give you the vacuum you want. It's got tons of punch, right? It's a short cam. It's like on a 109, is it? Or it's 109 and it's ground 7 degrees up. So it's got everything you could ever want in a cam, and it makes vacuum, and it's out of all of the that type of cam, because it's the Thumper and there's all different, right? The Whiplash, that's the only one I've experienced that actually works right out of the box, throw it in the car and have fun.
So 2011 Metal Maniacs asking, will Dallas and David Vizard be on the same stream at some point? I think that would be badass. That's like cool as hell, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. You know?
We are going to do a lot with David Vizard, a lot. But we're in the process of evolving. Like, for instance, this might be one of the last Wednesday night shows that we do from here, because we're setting up a studio for the AHRA over at my shop. So we'll probably be doing these tech talks, the Wednesday night tech talks from there. We're in the process of evolving. You know, we're getting stuff together. But yeah, I definitely plan on doing at least a bi-weekly thing with David, and definitely you. The same way he's got John Wilbur in there, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking, we would probably, since we're doing the Wednesday night tech video, I'll probably be doing a weekly thing over at your shop. Yeah. But, you know, I went over there the other day, and of course, it's going to take a little longer than what I thought, because I need to get some kind of carpet in there. I need to get something to knock down the echo in that room, is the big one. And then, you know, throw in some furniture. I don't want to have some garbage in there. But I did stop by my printing place and get some more of the big plastic signs printed. But then I did something for our viewers here, and I had the idea of making a banner. Like, it's the same size, but you can roll it up and actually ship it to somebody that doesn't cost $9,000, right? So.
I just had somebody ask me about ball stud. Andrew Button. Hey, Tony, did you ever see Jerry Jimmins collection back in the 80s? Did you end up seeing the ball stud Henry that was there? Yeah. No, I saw the ball stud when Randy had it. That was back in like 88, I think it was. Randy was something else. His kid is, just a brilliant great guy. His kid is around. I'd like to get his kid on the show at some point. Let's see. Ricky Styles Racing. We were getting ready to send out a Caddy 472 to be machined. 10 over. Engine is almost still new. 40,000 miles. Just has some ring snap. Distributor seasoned the block. Need pointers for that. One of two.
Well, that's going to be an aluminum body distributor. It's up front. It's 472, right?
Yeah.
Are they in the block, or are they in a timing cover?
I
can't remember if it's like the Buick with a timing cover or it's in the block.
Well, when I come across shit like that with a distributor seized in a block, heat the housing with a map gas torch.
I was just going to say that.
Heat it with a map gas torch, right? And then once you got it hot, hot. Spray some like penetrating fluid, WD or PV blaster or anything that you're going to use like that, and then heat it again. And just keep doing that cycle a few times, and you'll be able to just pop it right out. Let's see. Dakota's, nothing has been raining. Okay. Dakota's, okay. Lorenzo Magnifico. I like that name, man. How much total timing on a 440 running 90 octane pump gas, 9-to-1 compression ratio? Generally speaking, 34 to 36 degrees is about
the number.
Yeah, the
Yeah, almost everything runs about there.
Bigger bore engines.
Right.
Yeah. Good day, Harry, Australia. Let's see, Brad Vaughan. Uncle Tony, is an 84 Dodge Diplomat with 57,000 miles for $8,000. Is that a good deal? No visible Wall Street team order your video.
Nah.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for that car.
Yeah, I would definitely look for something else. If you're looking for something in that price range, you can go considerably older and get something really nice for that kind of money.
Ultra Kathy is posting here under Uncle
Read
Tony's
my comment,
garage. Read your comment, Tony. Okay, I'm going back. Hi, Steve Bico. Hey there, Fubar and Danny Boyd.
Hi.
Oh, okay. Okay, the guy says he'll get back to me with the time tomorrow to go look at it. Okay, we're gonna go look at a Miata tomorrow.
Another one?
Another one. It's $800, runs and drives.
Wow. And
it's over on Mount Juliet. So I'm like, for $800, I'm just gonna grab it and put it on the side, and either it'll be a future project or a flip or a parts car for something or whatever. But how do you not buy
or
one?
a 215 T5?
Well, if you want it, if you want it, bro, here you go. There's the 215. But yeah, I'm in a total Miata thing, and I want to have a bunch of Miatas. I want to have like 5 Miatas. I want Miatas everywhere.
Uncle Miata's garage.
Yeah.
Buick and a Miata. That's what Will Sanders says.
Dakota, listen. There's an MG. Okay, there's an MG 65. Oh God. $500, bro. $500. It's in Colombia. It's like 40 miles from here, right? $500. But it's such. Those cars are so expensive to do anything with. Yeah.
And then the electrical system, you might as well just take it out and burn it before it burns the car.
Yeah, but I looked at it and I was sick. I'm like, oh my God, I need this car.
What kind of MG is it?
It's a little MG.
Like a B or like an A? Or?
An A.
Oh, really? The A's they look nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Man, we'll talk about an anemic motor, though.
I know.
If you swap a Miata But isn't there any? Does anybody have anything heavier that they want to put in the Miata?
Yeah, I don't.
Is there a bus
I don't
motor?
think you can fit the intake manifold in a Miata. I tell you too. It's Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage. What's happening, brother man?
Hey, Andy, thanks for setting up that deal with David Bizarre. That was
Absolutely.
badass.
That was awesome. That was awesome. We're going to do that many times in the future.
Yes, they have wood floors.
And look, there it is, John Wilbur, the John Wilbur.
Oh man, everybody's here. Well,
Well,
no,
Zero
I haven't seen Ari yet.
Yeah, no. Well, okay, man.
Don't LS swap it. Everyone does that. I doubt it'll be LS swap, to be honest with you. Especially even if Tony has a hand in it, it would probably be anything on the planet before an LS, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm going to say that. I like LSs. I just wouldn't LS a Miata. It's Buffalo Camp on. Even he is here. Buff, wait till you see what's in your office when you get to the shop.
Me? No, I'm kidding.
So yeah, so I'm gonna go look at a Miata tomorrow. I can't help it. I found something I really like, and I need when I like something, I have to have many of them. It's just the way it is. So I'm thinking before the end of this year, I should have like 5 Miatas.
Oh man. Well, let's focus that money on something else. You know, let's build a tow rig. Let's build a Uncle Tony's Garage, like specifically built tow rig.
It's no fun though.
Or let's take your wrecker and turn it into a ramp truck.
No, I don't. I'd rather keep it as a wrecker.
Really?
Yeah. Because I use it to plop motors out and drag things.
Oh yeah, having that lift is very beneficial.
Yeah. And I'm going to use the box truck for towing. So really, I mean, the only thing I'm going to do with that is put an air conditioning set up for AC, and do some gas mileage things. I got to do some aero things on it to try to boost the gas mileage a little bit.
Oh, I know where there's a newer one of those with that thing that goes on the cab that pushes the air up over the
I
top.
need something like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's going to be many Miatas in my future. Let's see. Quad's claim.
Danny Boyd says, paint the Miata like it is.
You're going to sponsor the Winston Cup car.
Yeah.
Oh, Zero's here. Okay. Ultra Kathy needs AC. Yes, we're going to get a Miata with AC.
Miata or in the box truck?
Both.
Oh.
Both. Vargan Good. UT, you say you were doing a stream with Richard Holder. Yes, I got to get a hold of Richard. We talked last week. We didn't have he wasn't able to confirm a date yet, but as soon as I have a date confirmed with him, we'll definitely do that.
John Wilburn says, is the carry van a unibody?
No,
it has a frame.
Yeah.
You remember that conversation, John, at the drag strip, where I was trying to figure out how to put a hitch on it?
Yeah, I already looked at it. I know what I'm going to do to fortify that back bumper. It'll be fine.
Huh.
It'll be fine. But yeah, I'm going to use that for towing. And yeah, so it's like I found something I really like, so I'm going to dive into it.
Andy says I got him intrigued about the Buick having 15-degree heads.
Which one is that?
All of them.
All of them. Okay.
Yeah, all of them do. Yeah. There you go.
Hey, Kyla. This is Kyla's husband, and this is for getting me my job. I work on classics and customs now, and most of my knowledge I learned from watching you. You have no idea what you did for me and my family. Thank you. That is the nicest. That is awesome. Oh God! Hey, don't send me any.
Screenshot that, Uncle Kathy. Screenshot
Uncle
that.
Kathy, get them some merch and stuff like that, right? I'll load them up with merch. You shouldn't have sent me money. That is. That's the most rewarding thing. That's awesome. Thank you. He took what he learned from this channel and applied it and got a job.
That's awesome.
Doing classic cars. Merwin Man, you ever think about making this Wednesday Night Live into a podcast? I listen to these on Thursday drive or Friday cutting grass. I don't usually get to tune in for the live. I mean, I don't really see the difference between this and a podcast. I mean, you could just listen to it off of YouTube.
Oh no, Google sucks. You're going the wrong way. Miata needs to be British racing green and mini light wheels. Tony's already got it figured out. It's B5 blue.
Yeah, this one's going to be B5 blue, for sure. Don and Wendy English, Uncle Tony. Don says hello from Ohio. He's picking up the aluminum 225. Excellent.
Oh, you just get an aluminum slant?
Yeah.
You said they're no good for performance application, though.
I didn't say that. I didn't say they're no good. They have idiosyncrasies that people tend to like not use them because of the open deck and the special head gasket that they use.
Oh, it has its own specific head gasket?
Yeah, because it's got an open deck like an all-wheel motor.
Oh, you mean like a window block?
No, the deck.
Oh, you're talking about. All right, I got you. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
Williamson is now you're all going the wrong way. Modern gas and Miata. Don't think that hasn't crossed my mind. I've already measured it out.
I'll tell you something that I had an epiphany about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You know how gassers are kind of like all the rage, where everybody's going out and buying all these gassers, but you find anything that's gasser specific, and they're gigabucks because people are driving the prices of them up, right? PT Cruiser gasser, and you call it like a nostalgia gasser.
Man.
I know
it's ugly.
Really?
Yeah, but listen, right?
HHR maybe.
If you look at a Miata, okay, hard with a hard top on it, okay, it's not that much different than an Opel GT.
The Opel GT, yeah.
Okay,
I was thinking
so. Yeah, so it's like I've already measured out the Miata with that in mind, right? To do an Opel GT type of gasser out of one.
Well, see, somebody on here, when I was saying, I don't know what to do with this 215 motor, they said Opel Kadett. And I think it'd be badass to make an Opel Kadett with a 215 in it because it would have been the same stable at the same time.
Yeah, the problem is when you find a clean Opel Kadett, they're a fortune.
Oh, yeah. And the rest of them are rusted junk.
Right. In the meantime, you could score a straight Miata for $300. You know? So,
right.
But yeah, I have already looked at the possible. I've already made the measurements and did all of the figuring and all of the calculations to do a blown.
Oh, you know what? This gives me an idea.
Early Henny Opel GT gasser out of a Miata. I've already looked at that.
Joseph Atkins is saying patent matching numbers. Is that Barracuda that's cut into different color sections? That's what you should do. That's the epitome of Mopar right there.
No, matching numbers, I think he means what the original color of the car was. It was originally white. It's kind of boring.
Right. I was thinking what would be cool is take the epitome of the Mopar color breakdown. You remember that Barracuda that they made? They showed the Barracuda with every color you could get on it.
Yep.
You should do that to a Miata.
We could do that.
Because it'd be cheap. You just go to the parts, or like the, I don't know how cheap it would be, because you got to get exact somewhat matching colors, right?
Daytona Miata would be cool. Yeah, there was so. Listen, I'm telling you, when I'm looking at because look, I've done the Mopar thing has just been done to death. Every ways to Sunday. I looked at the XNR. I thought about taking a car and kind of duplicating the virtualizing of the XNR. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Mopar guys know what I'm talking about. But then I look at it and it's just like it's still you're dealing with cars parts that are hard to get.
You know what? This guy's got a badass idea. Miata like 50s vet gasser, but I got an idea. What about modified? Modified, like the modified class?
There are so many different things you can do with the basic Miata architecture, right? Yeah, no, I mean, I'm already looking at this.
Los Cadaver, a Buick 215, probably would not be a good start for a gasser. There's so few performance parts available for it. But there is stack injection if I'm willing to pony up $5,000.
Unfinished project says the paint Plan Z. I got notice that the tires are on their way today. I finally got we've got the tire situation covered on Plan Z, so we're going to be moving into that soon. So basically, here's the order of things that are going to happen. Miata on the ground running within the next couple of days. I'm just waiting on the drive shaft. That's a running car. Bottle rocket, I got to blow the front end apart, change the bushings, get that out to the track, then Plan Z goes to the track. So that's the order of things that we're going to be.
Andy, that's exactly what I was thinking too. The 215 in Miata with the T5 would be like a modern day Sunbeam Tiger. It would be badass.
David Wooderson, Tony, I'll race you in my Chevelle. Okay. Let's see. John says, I got that super chat. See, they've all got our backs, man. Look at the support team that we have.
I know. So Adam Cheslow is asking, if I don't have a flexi of my own, would JB Weld hold the distributor hack, hold for your distributor hack, or just get a flexi? You know what is actually a possibility is you can drill that opening and then put a set screw in that sucker and it'll hold it in there. You're just trying to hold the weight out, right?
Better off JB Weld than it.
JB Weld, you think so?
Yeah, I couldn't really see putting a set screw. I don't know.
Well, actually, even just a large button head screw in there.
Oh, Dave Wooderson says, I better have my wood screws in because I'm going to blow your doors clean off. Excellent.
383 in a Miata, like a Jensen.
Yeah, won't work. I already there's too many things that have to be done because of the way the exhaust is on one of those engines. Let's see. That's Olive. What's going on, Olive?
Andy says that his father-in-law had a TR8 with a 305 Chevy in it. It was a fun car.
I'm sure it was.
It was probably a handful.
Mark Shaw says a 383 would tear a Miata in half. No, it wouldn't. Let me tell you something. Okay, listen to me, right? You got to actually get your hands on one of these cars. Maybe go to junkyard or wherever you happen to be, and actually look at the architecture of the car. Forget about like the stuff that's on it, plastic this and little Japanese that, cutesy the other thing. Okay, no, forget about all that stuff. Go and look at the unibody of this car, right? Look at the structure of it. Look at the suspension. Look at the way it's all held together. It is a race car, and the damn thing is beefy. I mean, beefy. No, a 383 would not tear one apart. It would eat the 383 a lot, no problem. You could probably put 1,200 horsepower motor directly into a Miata chassis, and if you don't puke the rear end, that car will handle it, no problem. The one that I've got has made me an absolute believer in these cars.
So this guy asked, Michael, what is it? Benoli? Yeah, asked Tony, do you own metric tools?
Yeah, of course I do.
No.
I threw away a bunch of metric tools at one point. I got disgusted. When I get disgusted with stuff, I clean the house.
Well, I figured you had a hard time working on the Miata because a lot of it was probably metric, and you're like, freaking 10 millimeter.
No. I have a lot of basics.
Right.
I have a lot of basics.
I have one drawer of metric tools, and the rest of them are like standard. I even have standard screwdrivers and a standard adjustable wrench.
Mitten Made Muscle says, I watched Chasing Classic Cars today, and Wayne said this about driving a Miata. I've never driven one of these, but I feel like I need one. Yeah, exactly. And he's the one who died, right?
Wayne Creaney? No. I don't think he died, did he?
Yeah.
Are you sure? He's the guy out of like Rhode Island or whatever.
Oh, no. The guy over here in North Carolina. The Wheels Through Time.
Oh, he had cancer. He died?
Yeah.
I didn't know he died.
Yeah, Dale.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, that was.
It was a good show.
Great show. Los Cadaver UT is the flat screwdriver the worst screwdriver, yet the most variable tool.
That's probably a good way to look at it. Terrible on screws, great on everything else.
We're used to Phillips screwdriver, screws and everything, right?
Right.
But if you go back to like aftermarket, let's say speed equipment from like the 60s, it only uses flathead screws.
I've noticed all points are flathead screw.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. I think it's so that you could get it with like a dime in your pocket. I'm not entirely sure. Or a pocket knife. Huh. Well, I tell you what, the flathead screw, I always have the worst luck tearing the head off.
That's, yeah. Let's see. Ricky Styles Racing, something I haven't seen people ask. Thoughts on the racing simulators? Have you tried one? I have not tried one. I'm into sports car endurance racing such as IMSA, and I have my own wheel simulator with pressure brakes and steer. Have you ever?
I have never done that.
No, neither have I. But that I bet you that's a blast.
It's got to be. It would definitely have to fill that void. I have played some online racing games when I was younger, but I've never had a simulator, and a simulator would be like the next step, short of racing the actual car. F-Body John says, have you ever seen progression ignition distributors? They're
Yes.
fully tunable HEI distributors for V8 engines.
I've seen them, and they look like it looks like a fine product. It's not something I would ever use because I don't want to be tuning my car with my phone. I just don't. I don't need that kind of weird noise in my head. But that said, they seem like a fine product, and I've seen nothing but good words about them. So, I mean, if you're inclined to try something like that, go for it.
So Danny Boyd's asking, when will they come out with a wrenching simulator? I don't think you can, to be honest with you, because you missed the entire experience doing that. Because like you smash your fingers and there's no blood, there's no real pain. And then it's like asking you, like, what do you say now? And you would be like, well, normally I would cuss my head off, but I don't feel any pain at the moment, right? I remember wrenching on my Ford F-250 with my daughter. She was probably like 4 at the time. And I was taking the spare tire down, and that you know how like under a truck they got the nut that you take off and the whole thing comes down, right? Well, I got the nut off, and this sucker didn't budge. And I was like smacking it with my hand, trying to get the tire to pop loose because it had stuck to the bottom of the truck. And all of a sudden it came down on my finger, right? And like I looked up and I could see the meat hanging out of my finger, right? And I looked at my daughter, and I must have had like a purple face, right? And I was like, hey, go inside. I think I heard your mom calling you, right? And she went in there, and as soon as the door closed, I was like, oh, God, motherfucker. Like, oh, my God, it hurt so bad.
And there, done. I got the T-shirt.
Yeah.
Danny Gomes, have you ever messed with overhead cam VVT motors? Messed with them repaired them, worked on them, yes. Done any modifications with them? No. You?
No.
No,
I don't mess
with
with
dinosaurs. No VVT in our little.
Yeah, I take that stuff to the dealer if I have it. Angel Button says, I don't swear when working anymore. I just say the name of my high school, which was much nastier than any curse words. Okay. Happy
on Cycles. We really enjoy seeing you guys bring the running Slight Miata to a Miata meetup. Yes. Yeah, I'm all jazzed about this. We're gonna do all sorts of Miata things.
Well, you know what you should do? You should have like the cliche sports car stuff when you show up. Like the
scarf,
right, and the leatherback gloves,
right.
Yeah, and just show up with like a beret on, pull in there,
gonna do the whole
and then
thing,
like rev it up, and everybody would be like, "Wow, check out that Miata!" And then pop the hood, and they're like, "What the hell is that?" Right? Like, what is this archaic piece of crap?
No, but yeah, definitely, man. I got to get the goggles and a scarf, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and a giant, like maybe cigar or a pipe.
A pipe.
Yes.
You got to smoke a pipe. Yeah. Like a Sherlock Holmes kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Have either of you successfully used a car to attract a woman?
No.
You'll have to ask Uncle Kathy about that. Ultra Kathy.
She would say yes, though. I heard her story.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm looking for cars. And she was talking to you about getting a car, right?
No.
Oh, I thought that's what it was.
I had a 69 Charger, and I pulled into her parents' gas station to get gas. And she sent her mother out, who was a hottie at the time, right? She sent her mother out to ask if I wanted to sell the car.
Oh,
so I said, no, it's not for sale. So she says, well, my daughter's interested in it. I said, let me see your daughter. So she sent out a daughter, and Ultra Kathy, beautiful, blonde, blue-eyed, freckles, which is that's a delicacy in New York. You don't get that. So, yeah.
Oh, man. Well, no, never hooked any chicks on my cars.
Ricky Styles Racing, have either of you watched both American Graffiti's? Yeah, I've seen those.
Oh, for sure.
As a younger guy, I'm a huge fan of the films. Also, huge Easy Rider fan. Yeah, I mean.
Well, when you're talking like historic greatness movies that capture the period so well,
right?
Because there's actually a list of them. Like 2-lane blacktop, as weird as it is, very much captures the period of the time. You know, I really like the drag racing sequences in the second American Graffiti, but that movie's so out of time sequence, right? It's so hard to follow.
I don't know. I couldn't see through the whole second American Graffiti thing because it just seems too contrived. It was like they're just trying to milk this.
Trying to make it artsy, and it's like the first movie just flowed so well. It was like any typical teenager that just graduated high schools last night, but yet set in 1960 in the Valley, right?
I would say that the best movie, and we talked about this last week, the absolute best film to capture the whole 1970, late 60s, early 70s vibe is On Any Sunday.
I have not seen that. But like guys are running through movies now. Like I love Bullet. Bullet's one of my favorite movies, right? I really want when the newer Chargers came out with the 392s. I wanted to reenact that whole scene. I thought it'd be badass if somebody did it with new cars, right? And they had made a Bullet Mustang, and you thought, well, how easy would it be to just go to San Francisco and do that? But no, apparently not easy. Or why would somebody want to make that? And I saw today, so here's Zero's talking about Christine. They're going to remake Christine. I don't know if that's even possible.
I think, honestly, Funny Car Summer. Oh, yeah, that was a
good one, too.
Yeah, they just remake everything. There's no original ideas out there. But then again, Hollywood is dead. Hollywood is absolutely dead. You're not going to see the future of entertainment is reality. It's things that are going to be spun off of platforms like YouTube, you know, or Amazon Prime, like the Top Gear guys.
Oh yeah,
you know, that's the future of entertainment. So movies are dead.
Last year, I was actually toying with the idea of making Funny Car Summer for the AHRA, where we take 3 tracks, you tow them on an open trailer to each of, and they're like back to back to back, and you collect points, and at the end, the points winner wins a cash. The problem is, I need sponsors for this. I can't just do it by myself. So if you like funny cars in summer, you should probably help me out.
Justice Giannini. Tony, have you ever used ignition boxes, XLMLRE, MSD, or any benefit to those? I have tried all of them. I have tried everything under the sun. And you know what I found? Zero benefit. If you've got a well-tuned engine, you know, the things MSD or CDI ignitions are great if you've got a sloppy kind of tune, okay? They're great Band-Aids, but honestly, that's all they are. They're Band-Aids. If you've got your shit tuned correctly, right? You know, if you're on with the right plug, the right heat range, the right jetting, the right cam, the right converter, if you're on, then no, there is less than zero benefit to any of those MSD type of ignitions. All they'll do is burn more fuel. All they'll do, like I can explain to you, it's like all they'll do is lean your
mixture out.
Right.
Yeah, I've actually had the opposite effect, where I've gained fuel economy on them, but I've never gained any performance with any of them. But I have been stranded by quite a few of them. That's one good thing that they're really good for, is like working great and then not working at all.
See, back in the 80s, right, I worked with Jacobs Electrics.
Oh, Jacobs was good, yeah.
When I was doing the magazines.
Yeah, the Mustang stuff?
Yeah, well, he had a universal.
Like the blue box, right?
The blue box, right.
Yeah.
And which was an MSD. It was an early MSD. And I played with that. We tried all different types of cars, back to back, at the track, street racing the things. We tried them with them. There was no benefit. But if you put it on something sloppy, right, it would clean up the sloppy.
Huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, because it just burned extra fuel.
Right.
Huh.
MSD is supposed to just help you from fouling plugs. No, a tune-up is what helps you from fouling plugs. Paying 2 minutes worth of attention to your basic tune-up is what keeps you from fouling plugs, not an MSD. MSDs are a Band-Aid.
You know, David's Garage Saints, check out the new John Schneider movie, Stand on It, Smoking the Bandit remake, pretty funny. I've seen it advertised on Facebook. I've seen it advertised, I think, even on YouTube. I haven't seen it yet, though.
Unity Motorsports, nothing like being stuck on the side of the road with a bad MSD box. Been there and done that.
Yeah, see, it happens.
Yep.
They just stop working. Like, literally, no signs, and all of a sudden, they give up the ghost.
Let me tell you something. You know what's going to happen? The SEMA All right, they're going to get together and they're going to put a contract on us.
A hit.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a hit from the guys on
We're-
MSD.
We're like the most dangerous men on YouTube. Paul Capizzola, are you planning to get together with David Vizard again? Yes. I plan on doing many things with David and with Andy from Unity Motorsports and John Wilbur and
Me, Dallas.
So yeah, you watch how things evolve over the next 6 months or so, okay? Because I've got a plan, I've got a vision, I've got a plan. You watch how things evolve over the next 6 months or so.
So I stopped the feed here because this guy asked, was it Dave Kuhn 13? Do you have to put hardened exhaust valve seats, those old Mopar and Buick engines for unleaded gas? I've always heard, okay, when I was younger, they always said put hardened valve seats in them. And then you know what? Me being me, I'm like, I'm going to be cheap. I'm going to run this sucker without hardened valve seats because I don't have the cash. And you know what it did? Not a damn thing, right? I ran it forever, probably 60, 70,000 miles with non-hardened valve seats, and it didn't really make a difference.
That's the truth. Every once in a while I'll pull apart an old motor and find sunken seats. But not all engines are created equal. Okay? Because not all metallurgy is the same. So like it depends on.
I've also heard it depends upon how much metal is in the head to pull the heat out of that seat.
That too. But it's also the actual composition, the metallurgy. It's the composition of the metal. Right? It has a lot to do with it also. You know, and they're not all the same. Like for instance, you pull a small block Chevy car, like let's say a 1960s, early 1970s small block Chevy.
Right.
You will find the exhaust valve sunk.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're sunk. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the metal that Chevrolet spec'd for those cylinder heads. On the flip side, like I pulled apart countless big block Chryslers. I've never had one with significantly sunk seats. So it all depends.
So Papillon Cycles asked, did I see that 59 race car Old Yeller that Jay Leno profiled? Yes. And matter of fact, I was reading stuff about it today. I don't know if I think I told you this. Our Lemon's car, or Lemon's Green. Did you see that video on Old Yeller?
I did not, but I'm familiar with it.
Okay, so and you know, like the guy that made his name, was it Mike Bachowski?
Yeah.
Or Max Bachowski.
Max, right.
Okay, so if you look at the drivers of that car, it's like a list of who's who of badass road racing, right? It's like Carroll Shelby, Bob Bondurant, Dan Gurney, right? And it's like the list goes on and on of all these great drivers that drove this car and spanked like Maseratis and Lamborghinis and Ferraris and all that stuff, whatever was road racing in like the early 60s with this home-built Buick Old Yeller. So my Lemons guys and we got together and we're like, this is such a badass, like home-built Buick-powered road racer. Why don't we call our Mercedes? So we looked at Mercedes. What do they have? Well, they built a ringer called the Red Pig.
Yeah.
Right? So we're going to mix the two together, and it's going to be called the Old Yeller Pig, right? And we're going after the Lemons, Buick power. So it's pretty neat. I actually I just messaged the guy that did that owns the Old Yeller 2 today.
Okay.
Thanked him for making that video.
Marshall, 1959. I'll go away. Have you ever used a Davis DUI distributor on a Mopar? I have one on my Cuda and I love it. I use nothing but standard Chrysler or I've used Axel and Mallory stuff. But I try to for my own cars. I stay as conventional as I possibly can.
I just use HEIs in GM stuff. Right. Rest of the time, I like points. Points are pretty reliable, right? And I really like the idea that you can adjust them on the side of the road. And even though I never have had to, but I've never thrown any aftermarket stuff at a distributor that was not meant for electronic ignition.
Joseph Kinney, Tony, what are your thoughts on the Mopar electronic ignition boxes? Blue, green, orange, and silver. The hit and miss, bro. The hit and miss. The orange and the chrome boxes are the ones that you would want for high performance use. and the ones that they make today are trash. If you can find a good original, like 70s, 80s, new old stock, or just good used, you're miles ahead. But the new ones, no good, no good.
Rob D's asking, are there any pushrod V8s available on American production cars these days besides the Cami and Hemi? Yeah, the LS Motors pushrod.
Yeah. Yeah, everything will be pushrodding eventually again. Marshall, are Mallory Unilights any good? Yes, they are. I've never used them. Oh, I've worked on cars that had them. But yeah, they're good. How about Petronix billet flamethrower distributors? They seem interesting. Again, people use Petronix very successfully. I have no problems with, and that's actually, the Petronix is probably the only one you really don't hear any negative issues on.
Oh, that's right.
But I myself don't use them, but they are good units. And if you're inclined to replace your points with one, I mean, if you're going to do it, that's the system to use.
See, and Frank Caputo, he says the same thing that I've heard 1,000 times.
That they're junk?
Yeah, Petronix is junk.
I've had them where they burn through. I've had people bring me cars over the years where the part right under the rotor button burns through, and it'll start arcing through that. I don't know if that's a I know I've seen on at least 2 of them. I don't know if that's an early thing that they fixed it over time or whatever. But
so Ryan S says, so I think I found the car I'm buying. I just got my job and I'm getting a '69 Newport.
Ooh.
Do you guys think I should mod it or leave a little or leave for stock? Man, that's a tough call. It's your car, right?
Yeah.
So you need to, if you're going to do it, you should do it to your liking, right? But me, that's a full size car, right? And then a C body.
Yeah, it's a big C body,
right? But I mean, I'm a big fan of American full size cars. I really am. And when you get them right, damn, did it look good? They look good.
Yeah, I wouldn't mod it, man. I would leave that alone. I would just drive that and enjoy it.
And it floats like just a couch going down the road, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody was saying the Godzilla 7.3 is a pushrod motor, which I do remember seeing that. I got to see a behind the scenes somewhere. They actually had a Godzilla 7.3 that they got from Ford for development for parts. And they had this sucker apart, and you wouldn't believe the crap that's in it.
Really?
It was like, holy cow, that is like race car level stuff in this motor. Yeah, like the retainers on top of the springs were like that big around, right? And the springs were all conical, the timing chain on it was rinky-dinky. I'd never seen anything like it.
Well, no, that's not the timing chain. That's the jack shaft for the oil pump.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Huh. Joseph Giannini. Yeah, you're going to find probably all the new stuff like that is probably coming right from overseas, and they're not very reliable. So,
Tony, what do you have for a tow vehicle? Why is tow vehicle all in caps? Good Lord. I've got a 1980 Dodge Retriever wrecker and a 1978 Dodge Caravan. I have 2 different tow vehicles.
Stephen Pistori says, weren't Petronix used in the 68 Superstock Hemis?
No, they used a CDI ignition.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
In 68?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I figured they would have been dual point, like an Excel dual point.
Well, it was.
Oh, really? But it was fired by the points.
Right. It's fired by and they used a Presto light, the regular Presto light, 426 Hemi dual point.
Uh-huh.
And they used a CDI ignition.
I did not know that. That's cool.
Smoking range Petronix flamethrower, no issues in Cleveland. Yeah, as far as those
never used
go,
one.
Yeah, they're just not for me, but they work.
A Panther Crown Vic. Man, I almost bought one of those new. They had a Crown Vic Sport that came out in like 2002. It's very similar to like the Marauder, and few and far between.
Only an actual wrecker for a real mechanic. It's like a Swiss Army knife, man. I use it for everything, pulling motors and dragging stuff out of the woods, pulling shrubs and trees out of the ground. I mean, yeah, I use it for everything.
Well, it's probably got what? Is it a manual?
Yeah.
So it's got like that
It's got the
super greedy
grainy,
low.
yeah.
Well, this William Barker here is asking, just picked up a 66 383. What's your thoughts on stock 516s versus 542s for a strong, or 452s for a strong street engine?
Well, the 516s are it's a closed chamber head. So to compare them to the 452s is kind of apples and oranges. The 452s are 906s with hardened seats. That's really the only difference between them. The 516 is a closed chamber head. They're great heads, but you can't really compare them. It's apples and oranges. I would tend to use. I would try to build a Quench motor and use that closed chamber 516 head.
Let's see.
Let's see. Thank you, Fubar. There's our link to our merch, right? Including our sketchy shirt, which is like a bestseller. Right?
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's blowing it out.
Oh, blowing it out. And you have merch to sell.
I do. It's on www.ahraonline.com. Click the merch tab at the top. It'll take you to our eBay page. And we still got 2-for-1 decals, and I think the posters are 2-for-1, matter of fact.
How do you afford to give that stuff away at such a reasonable price?
Well, I hold the people up that actually produce them.
Okay.
Shake them down.
Yeah, I've done that too.
I use my power and influence of the AHRA to get it done.
And Fubar just put a link.
Yeah.
Because Fubar is ahead.
All over it.
He's all over
He's already thinking what we're thinking before we think it.
I'm telling you, Fubar's an advanced being from the not too distant future. I believe he lives an hour ahead of the rest.
That's probably what it is. It's on the East Coast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay.
No, I do not have a channel yet. Well, technically I do, but no one watches it because there's nothing I put on there. But it will change here in the near future.
Beaumont resident Tony, I've swapped out a set of headers to the stock GM ram head exhaust manifolds. Found engine runs much smoother. Why is that? Because you were running lean, and now you're running in balance. That's why.
No, here's a Q-Jet question. The Q-Jet on my 327 runs great. When you step on it, there's a slight hesitation for just a second, then she goes. Just a Q-Jet thing? No, she's out of adjustment. That's what it is. So there's a couple of things could happen in that situation. One, your accelerator pump spring might be getting a little weak, or the plunger itself could have a hole in it or be torn.
Oh, and it could also be a factor of
The secondary air doors.
vacuum advance.
It could be the vacuum advance.
Vacuum advance.
Dropping the timing.
Yeah. Switch your vacuum advance from manifold to ported, and retime it and see what happens.
Dakota's time. You promised us what?
I don't know.
What did I promise? I don't know what it.
Dakota just promised us something. I mean, I trust Dakota.
Yeah, but I'm like sticking to whatever I promised. I don't drop things usually.
Free beer. Did you promise our viewers free beer?
Oh, no.
I mean, you may have to.
I didn't promise myself free beer. I got one. Yeah, I'm having a beer, Lobo GTX. My one. All I have is one.
Larry Friend says, I found a dart that I found a dart that I find to be acceptable for my project. When I finish it, I'll bring it to the studio and embarrass you. Bring it, man. Dallas promised us a channel with a bunch of videos on his YouTube channel. Remember? Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't got to it yet, though.
We're seriously
We're working on it.
Look, we're working on a lot of things. You guys are going to see a lot of new things over the next, let's say, couple of months. Yeah, we're moving forward. Yes, he's getting a channel, Jason's Garage. Yes. And oh, thank you, Ari. Ari took care of Dakota. Dakota was starting to get in there a little bit. He was starting to get a little up.
He actually said something.
Right.
I should live stream the AHRA meets. Well, Joe, I can actually somewhat do that. The only problem is most of the times the tracks are out in the country and you have super poor reception. Yeah, and so it'll have to be not live stream, but just pre-recorded. The problem is I'm a one-man show. Like if I'm doing that, I can't be selling merch or updating memberships or anything like that. It's really just I need to make some money so I can hire somebody so I can put them there to do video recordings.
Joe Brennan, how much up and down play is reasonable in a distributor? What's too much?
I thought it was always 10,000. Isn't it 10,000?
Depends on the distributor. I mean, I've taken apart factory Chrysler ones that didn't really have any wear. I think I had like 70,000s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now I've seen GMs that had multiple shims in them, but I always thought the rule of thumb was 10,000s. And even if I take one apart and it's only got one shim in it and it moves up and down, I just put the one shim back in and put it back together.
What state and city is your studio? We're in Nashville, Tennessee. We're right outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Tanner Station. Tony, what year did you start putting your hair into the hole in the back of your caps? I don't know, probably like, 1990 something. So what's up next for Garrett's Charger? Going to the track. We're going to get some baseline runs on Saturday.
Oh, hey, you know what? I came up with a cheap trick that you guys haven't tackled yet.
Yeah.
Okay. He's got a crap gear, right?
Yes.
And he's got whatever tires are on.
Right.
Okay. He needs to go get another set of rims just from the junkyard and go to the shortest tire he can possibly get, because it's not going to, it'll step it up maybe like one gear size.
Yeah, but before we even do that, we want to go to the track and just get a baseline on it.
Right.
You know, and so that's what we're going to do on Saturday. But yeah,
that always used to be the cheap trick for the 241 gears. Thinking of supercharging a blobby Taurus. What's a blobby Taurus? Is that the ugly ones for the jelly bean looking ones?
Probably.
Become more acquainted with
torque steer. That'll do it. Those transmissions on those Tauruses were weak. You have to be careful with that. Tony, you do a video about changing weights and springs and distributors. I did that months ago.
And he was just saying at the beginning of this video, we're going to do one on the HEI when that El Camino comes in, right? Here, hold on. There was one okay, Kevin Garcia asked, any tips for freeing a seized engine?
I did a video on
Did you really?
Yes, how to free a stuck engine.
Oh, I was going to throw my 2 cents in there.
Go ahead.
I poured some Coca-Cola down the cylinder.
People have done that too.
And it freaking, no lie, worked. It was a little Nissan motor. It got hot. It seized up. I poured some Coke down in there. And next thing you know, I turned it over with a breaker bar.
What do you think of Dave Duvek's 71 CUDA in the Fast Series? Dave is a genius. I know Dave. We're going to be doing... as soon as I can catch up with him, where our schedules are, I'm going to do a major feature on that car, on him and on that car. But it may be a while before it actually happens.
Read this one.
UT, my friend swears his grandpa had a 60s Dodge Slant 6 with a factory 4-valve, something called a Hyperpack option. Yes. Yeah, 1960 through 62, the Hyperpack was available over the counter.
Yep, Zero, you're right. The Marble Mystery Oil does work really well, too, on freeing up a seized engine.
Unfinished project. Why not use the G-Tech for Garrett? Because the G-Tech crashed. The G-Tech does not work. And I just don't have the time or the inclination to screw around with it. Dallas, would you consider playing with a Buick Fireball 6?
I don't see why not. I mean, they're pretty much the same as the 215 or the 300. They're pretty simple. It's going to work. Everything, all the tricks I know are going to work the same. It's the same timing cover on them.
Dave Dudek is a great guy. I can't wait to see him in his car on the show. I did a podcast with Dave. I don't know if it's still around. We did a podcast about 3 years ago. Actually, it's about exactly 3 years ago, before we started doing the videos. I did a 2-hour long podcast with Dave, and we got into a lot of stuff. See if you can find that, man. I don't know if it's still around.
So 65 Muzzy's asking, Holly Street Dominator, any good on a 318 LA engine?
Yeah, very good.
So they wake them up, huh?
Yeah, that's the intake manifold kind of bottle rocket.
Oh man, I love my GT 500. Says someone near me is going to scrap an old 62 Oldsmobile 98. Is it worth saving? Hell yeah, go save that sucker. Because a 62, I'm pretty certain a 62 would have been like 394.
It doesn't matter what motor is in it. A 62 Olds 98 should never go to the scrapyard.
See, those cars could have came in bubble top.
Yeah.
Right? That's what people don't understand is you could have got a bubble top Olds or a bubble top Buick or a bubble top Pontiac. You know?
If I had that car, I would feel compelled to do a lowrider.
Oh yeah, it would be a good.
I would have to go lowrider with that.
It would be good.
Matt asks, Tony, when is it time to change the timing chain? Right around 100,000 miles, fixing the change? Yeah. I mean, if you're in there, change it for sure. Danny Gomes, is the carbon your 26 Miata stock Chrysler? Can you run a 4-barrel on that beast without flooding it out? Yeah, I mean, I've got a 4-barrel on my slant drag motor. It's fine. It's a 750 vacuum secondary carburetor, and it just eats it, right? No, but the slant Miata is a 170. That's a 2-barrel BBD that's on there, and that's all I need. Remember, this is an autocross car. This isn't a drag car. It's not a top-end car or anything like that. This car is all about mid-range torque. To do the autocross thing. It's all purpose built for that. So that's the best carburetor on the best intake manifold for that application.
Unfinished project to ask is when is Holdner's piston swap video going to drop?
I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't heard from him. I'm sure that if he had done anything with it, I would have gotten a text from him, but I haven't heard from him yet. Let's see.
I'm thinking.
Zero says Pepsi for the win. I'm a Pepsi guy.
Well, we're doing Plan Z. When is Plan Z actually going to go to the track? We need to do a hit on that before we take it up to the Slanted Nationals, which is on September 5th, by the way, at Jeffers Motorsports Park.
Yes. Okay. Well, your friend Chris just messaged me today.
Right.
That the slicks are
on the way.
On the way. So I have no idea how long it's going to actually take them to get to me, but we've now located slicks. And we're going to have to do a couple of hits on it before we take it to sites.
Right.
I don't know how much running we're going to. I think I'm going to use that event to really do the testing tune on that car because I've still got to get bottle rocket sorted out.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's close. I mean, Plan Z it's a good running fucking thing. It runs stronger than I thought it would.
Well, I saw it on the video when you pulled it out and launched it down the street, right? And it had no hint of wheel spin. It just squatted and went.
No, it did wheel spin.
Did it really?
Yeah. It black tracked.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, it seemed to run really good.
Oh, it runs great. So I mean, all I really got to do with that car is screw around with jetting and timing. So I'm thinking we'll probably just because what is the date for the
Slanted National? September 5th.
September 5th. So that's 2 months.
Right, but you also got September coming up for your gambler car, right?
Yes, so that's towards the end of the month.
Okay.
Yeah. Who's driving Bottle Rocket? I am for the time being. Otto 904-727. Do you run a stock converter in your daily drivers? Some of them. I mean, I have many daily drivers. Well, one of them has a 3500. My Charger has a 3500 RPM converter in it. The GT has a stock converter. Slant has a stock converter. I don't know. And you use stock converters in your stuff.
I use stock converters, yeah. I was thinking that next year, somebody was saying that you should have you should have your own drag racing event, and then have your subscribers show off their rides down the strip.
That would be up to.
Well, I was thinking about something else. I was actually the other day I was kicking around the idea of how we talked about that series at the beginning of the year, and I came up with the minivan, and you're like, minivan, why? And I'm like, because it didn't change for 9 years.
Yeah, but he's talking about having like showing the people on our, for our guys to bring their cars to the track.
Right. No, I got you. Somebody was on here asking, how does the switch pitch work? I thought I saw that somewhere.
Unfinished project. What happens to bottle rocket after it hits 1099? It goes no time. It gets a big N/T in the back window, and that's it. Then we go. We'll have some fun with it that way.
Or we just take it back to the track that we went to for the 318 Fest, and I don't think anybody will care.
All right. Conrad Francis, hey, Mr. Tony, any advice on how to build a 727? I recently got one from a junkyard for a steel. I'm going to put it behind a Gen 3 Hemi with a little spray. It'll handle 500-600 horsepower without even breathing hard. Advice? I don't know.
Contact John Wilburn on here. Yeah, he's a good training guy.
Yep.
Oh, I could be the driver. Yeah, I could do that. Matt Horn, say have Dallas be your driver.
Dallas has got a lot of stuff to do.
I have a lot of irons in the fires, guys.
See, here's the thing. I don't need somebody to drive the car because I can't drive the car. I can drive the car. That's not a problem. The problem is time to go to the tracks. And because to do YouTube, to do the stuff in the shop, and then go and be at tracks and stuff like that, that's not in the cards. So I'm not looking for somebody who could just drive a car. I'm looking for somebody who has a trailer, a place to keep it, and is able to actually take it consistently to tracks and put it through its paces. I don't need somebody to steer the freaking car. I need somebody to actually go out and run the car.
He needs a program.
Right.
So Tedesco 455 is asking, Dallas, how does the switch pitch transmission work? I caught that on my peripheral, and it was like bugging me.
You grabbed that.
So I know. So
you snatched that.
I saw it when it went by again. Right. Like so. All right. So a switch pitch it actually is a turbo 400 to be honest with you, but a switch pitch actually has another solenoid in there that's similar to like your kickdown solenoid, right? But that solenoid is operated by a switch up on the throttle. So it's when you mat the throttle, what happens is it kicks that switch or that solenoid down in the transmission, which directs fluid to the torque converter. And it actually changes the pitch on the vanes inside the converter to allow it to have more slip. And the reason for it was that technology was pioneered in the Dynaflow, which was virtually just like a one-speed transmission, right? And you needed the slippage from the torque converter to get the thing to move to go down the road. They carried it over when they built the Turbo 400 and put that switch pitch in there, but they found it was kind of redundant and kind of overkill. So it went away in 67. That was the last year available for it. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, Tony and Dallas, what's better in your opinion, double roller timing chain or timing gears?
I always go with the double roller chain.
Actually, I go for a single roller chain when possible because it takes less power to turn a single roller.
Yep.
So it would be single roller chain would be the optimum. The double roller chain, if one is not available, and gear drive, gear drive transfers a lot of the bottom end harmonics through the valve track. Yeah. Gear drive is good for extremely high horsepower, short burst drag racing, and that's about it. I wouldn't use anything else.
Yeah, if you're running like an alcohol car or fueler,
right.
Something that it's 5 minutes, set the timing on. They're real simple.
David Wooderson, on closed chamber heads, is it better to mill the heads or the block for more quench?
For more quench. Your quench is going to be the same on.
Yeah.
You're going to decrease the quench if you mill the head. If you...
Well, they wouldn't decrease it. You just wouldn't change it. You're not going to make the quench pad any smaller. You're going to make the combustion chamber smaller. But the quench pad is still going to be...
it probably will remain the same size, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the only way to do that would be through the deck. If you mill the head, you're not changing the quench chamber. You're making the combustion chamber smaller, but but you're not changing the pad. So, okay, Anthony Perna, thank you, sir. $20. I'm rebuilding a computer Q-Jet. There's a screw that sits on top of the primary rods. I forgot to count the turns it was set for. Now the car won't idle. How can I set it?
Okay. Well, if it won't idle, is it blowing black smoke? Because that's a good question. Because you know if it's lean or rich. If it won't idle, it could be. It actually can't be too. You know what?
It can't be too lean. No, it has to be too lean.
It has an idle circuit that's completely different to those primary meeting rods.
Okay, but those. Okay, you can't make it too rich with those rods, but you can make it too lean. That's screw. Okay, so if it's not idling, right, it's because the screw what you've done is you've buried the needles
down into the jets,
right? So you want to loosen it up. You can't go over rich on it. It's impossible to go over rich, but you can go over lean. So I would say
back it out 2 turns and see what happens.
Back it out 2 turns and you should be fine.
Well, he's saying it's not smoking, but it will idle if I disconnect the electric solenoid for the primary rods.
Yeah, because that electric solenoid is holding them down into the most closed position. Let's see.
Roger Blackman's asking, is cross drilling a crankshaft still recommended for full oiling of the rods? I've always heard it weakens the crank, but I mean, there's still a lot of guys that do it.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, race cranks come pre-cross drilling.
Right.
You know, but they're
made of different metal.
They're made of a different metal. I would say it really depends on the crankshaft. That's going to be a case for case thing. Harley Hook wants to know about the Quench concept. Hold off on it. We're doing a whole thing on Quench very soon.
Yeah, I would want to go back to that guy's question. I would deck the block. Right? You know, like
deck the block.
That's the only option that you really have.
And we were talking about Quench when we were with David. And I says my thing with Quench, when I built something for Quench, my theory is if the piston is not hitting the head, you're leaving power on the table. And he was like, "Yep, that's exactly right." So when I built an engine for Quench, I actually looked to see witness marks. I want the piston to physically smack the head. So that's maximum Quench. You can't get any better than that. You know, some people are a little freaked out by that idea. If you're squeamish, you know what I'm saying? Because now the trolls are gonna be like, he's telling people to make the pistons hit the head. Right? Listen, if you're squeamish, right, don't do that. Okay. But if you're like me and it's like just send it, right? Then yeah, man. If the pistons are not hitting the heads, you're leaving power on the table.
So if you're taking her to zero deck, and then you're like, hey, how thick is my gasket under compression? And then decker that, you know, you're pretty much.
Well, it's like this. You go for absolute zero.
Right.
Okay, you go for absolute zero. And then when the engine is running, there's just that much stretch in the clearances, bearing clearance, connecting rod, pin, piston, right? You add all that up, and you've got like 1,000th or 2 of stretch at the top of the cycle. Well, that's where it smacks the head.
Huh.
Okay. John Woodall, which is better, 727 or 833 on a mild built 383 with a higher 400 rear end? Depends what you're building for. Here's how I look at it. Right? If you're going to do a bracket race type of thing, where consistency is important, spend the money on a good converter and build the automatic. If you're a time shot artist and you like to experiment with things like camshafts and intakes and carburetors and all this other stuff, then you're better off with a manual because you have the infinitely variable torque converter. So that's why, like for instance, Bottle Rocket is a stick because I'm a tinkerer and I'm going to want to try different cams and different intakes, advance this and retard that, like as we go along with the car. And I don't want to have to always say, but the converter isn't right for this. Or no, just leave a little different on the clutch. So that's why if you're going for time shots, stick. If you're looking for a consistent bracket race type of car, automatic every time.
So Los Cadaver, where is Los Cadaver at? I'm not entirely sure. What it says, What does UTG and Dallas think about a first-gen caravan drag club that opened up here 4 months ago?
I have no idea.
I think that's pretty badass. Because to tell you the truth, what we were just talking about a few minutes ago, when Tony and I at the beginning of the year were talking about having a spec class, drag class, and I came up with the idea of using the Chrysler Caravan, to be honest with you, because they left it the same. Well, not just the Chrysler Caravan. What was the other one? The Town and Country and what was the Plymouth? Or no, the Dodge Caravan. And they left it the same same exact drivetrain and for 9 years. And I thought, oh, that would be a badass spec class because you got so many of those vehicles. And you guys know that a van, after the first owner, they're worth nothing.
Right.
You can pick them up for cheap, right? So that was kind of the idea.
Muscle City Madness. Tony, can you explain why you're not supposed to curve manual trans distributor? It's not whether you're supposed to or not supposed to. The difference is on a Chrysler distributor, for example, right? All of the advances in are like 3,000 RPM. Thereabouts, right? 3,100, 3,200 RPM. Well, when you're leaving on a clutch, okay, you're bringing the RPM up to around there. You're bringing the RPM up to around 3,000, 4,000 in that range, and then you're going to come off the clutch from there. So the timing is already all the way in. But when you're dealing with an automatic, even with a loose converter, you still have to push, the motor still has to push into the converter. So you need as much initial timing as you can get to make it work the converter. You don't have to do that with a stick. And that's why with a clutch car, I mean, in my mind, it's just a waste of time curving it because you're leaving in performance mode. The thing is never seeing the part of the curve. It's all in by the time you come off the clutch. Okay, so you need to do that. Uncle Kathy says you missed that. Oh, okay. Is it possible to replace fire bearings in my slant sticks without pulling it out? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to pull the head. Will the pan come off of it? Yeah, pan will come off. Yeah, I've done it. I've done it countless times. You won't have any problem. But just make sure that it's worth doing because if you spun a bearing, the crank is going to be scored. If you're just dealing with an engine that the bearing is just worn, like just flat out worn, and you're doing it that way, then yeah, drop the pan, change them out. You won't have any problem. But if you've got a spun one, yeah, I would just pull the motor and break it down. Okay, so we got another super chat to do, but Mark Shaw says, what's a 65 396 motor worth? There's a 65 SS 396 4-speed Impala convertible in the woods near me, which is a beautiful car, by the way. But 65 396, what's it worth? I don't know, a few $100. I wouldn't think that they're worth a ton of money, but is that the high performance ones where they're all 4-bolt main? And yeah, 65 would be. That's the first couple of years of it. Yeah, but they have different levels. It's not just one 396. So somebody who's familiar with Chevys will jump in there. Yeah. Well, it would be the 375 horse 396 if it was. I don't know if that's what came in that There's a 325 horse. Right. There's the regular bread and butter 396s. Neat Metal says, no matter what bottle rocket runs, it's a winner. Help build your channel and agitates the trolls. Look, as far as I'm concerned, it's an ongoing thing. It's not there. Bottle rocket has no natural conclusion. There is no like. This is the end of bottle rocket. Right. It's a project that, as time goes on, we're going to do different things with it. But right now, the goal is to get it to run that 1099 or a 699, right? Or 8th mile 699, quarter mile 1099. We will eventually get to a quarter mile track because I know people want an actual number. That's fine. But it's an ongoing project. So it's not that there's going to be a natural conclusion. I'm going to say, okay, well, this project is wrapped up. That will never, ever happen. That car has a long future. That car is not going anywhere. If I'm doing YouTube 5 years from now, that car is going to be in YouTube in whatever state, whatever configuration, do whatever it's going to do. So it's like, it's not that it's not finished. Car runs, it drives, and then we're working bugs out of it. But it will never be finished. It'll always be an ongoing project. So it's going to perpetually get more bottle rocketer. Yes, right? It's going to perpetually get a little bit lighter. That 318 is going to get a little tricker. It's going to get a little more spray. Is it always going to be 318 powered? Yes. Oh, that's cool. Bottle rocket will always be a 318. Okay, that's cool. That's the identity of that car.
All right. So then we got another super chat here from Mopar Den.
Yes.
Oh, what happened there? Did they disappear after a while? Okay, Tony, I thought I heard you mention you have a preference for the 170 slant 6 over the 225. Can you briefly explain why that is so? Thanks, Dan.
Okay, I actually did a whole video on that like a month ago, right? Specifically on why I'm wanting to explore the 170 over the 225. It's kind of a little bit involved to do right now, but if you just go back, I'm sure somebody can tell you which video it is. But the brief short version of it is that the Slant 6 was designed at the 170 size, and everything is scaled. The cylinder heads, the ports, the valves, everything is scaled to the 170 size. It was, and the engineers who designed it stepped back when they were done and they said, "This is the perfect engine." And in their own words, in the words of the engineers who designed this, the 225 was a pig. It was an oil burner from the get-go. They weren't happy with it. Now that I've started to experiment deeply with the 225, I think I've got a handle on what it takes to make one run, but it's definitely an engine with many shortcomings, many issues. The 170, on the other hand, when you look at the 170, it has perfect architecture, four-stroke, rod ratio. Everything about that motor is a world-class. It's just because it's small and it'll never be a torque beast, right? It's not compatible to a typical drag car that you would find a Slant 6 in, which is one of the reasons why the Slant 6 found its way into my Miata, because you're not going to get a traditional Mopar car as light as I'm going to get that Miata. So, but yeah, but we did a whole video on the 170.
It's, that's one thing that people don't get because they always go for bigger cubes, and that's what's funny is like, guys like me and you end up with the smaller motors, and everybody's like, oh, what a paperweight. Well, hold on a second, when you're talking cubic inch to horsepower numbers, this thing's a freaking, some of them are absolute monsters out there that they were just never got their just due because something always overshadowed it because there was a smaller motor or a different platform that people weren't familiar with, right? And just like that's why the 215 has always intrigued me because it's such a small V8, that it never really got its just due. But when you're talking a motor that comes from the factory in 1961 and it's making 200 horse and it's 215 cubes, that's a good number.
Thank you, Mopar Den. But this was a good question. Nicholas R. Does the use of mufflers on an exhaust negate the effects of header collector tube length tuning? Reference, no. Okay, assuming that you've got a good muffler, right? And I'll leave that to you to determine what a good muffler is. Do your research and figure out what you like. But assuming you've got a good muffler, a good exhaust system, no, it does not negate the effect of the purpose of that collector, right? The purpose of the collector link is to give the individual pulses a place to merge and pull as a single column, right? So that's the importance. You want to have an undisturbed full size. So if you got, let's say, a 3-inch collector, you want to have an undisturbed 16 to 20 inch or thereabouts length from the merge point of the tubes to where any other things may happen down the road. But no, the collector length is crucial no matter what. Pipe, open headers, pipes, whatever, the collector is crucial. I'm going to give you an example of that real quick, right? My Charger, my 66 Charger, 67 Charger. So it's got a full 40 in it. And it's got a set of Hooker street headers in it. So when I put that car together first time I put the car together, I was just scrambling to get it running. All I want to do is just get it running. Okay. So I grabbed a bunch of varied pipes and just sparked them together and stuck them on there, right? Because remember, the purpose was just to get the car running. I didn't care if it ran well, I just wanted to get it running. Okay. So I had the 3-inch collector, right, and attached to the 3-inch collector was downsized to 2.5 inch, right, and the pipes were actually intruding into the collector area. The 2.5 inch pipes were intruding in there. So the car ran well, okay. It ran like a typical muscle car type of thing, So I switched that out. I put a proper size exhaust in it once I had the time put it together. Dude, you could not believe the difference. I mean, I'm talking 50 or 60 horsepower, right? Just because the engine was compromised because of the way I cobbled together that exhaust. When I finally got around to making it right, night and day. I mean, in no comparison. Okay.
I like David Vizard's video where he was like, equal length headers, garbage,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, whoa, really? That was the technology in the 90s, equal length.
Yeah, but he's right. And I asked my sister, does that have to do with the 570, right? At least like on the show.
It's all like the pulses and how they get the pipes positioned, right?
Right. So you would think, but 5 and 7, he says, yeah, but we didn't get a chance to elaborate on that.
Right.
But we'll get that's
right. He was willing to dive into it, but didn't want to take up the whole show.
Right. We don't want to take up the whole show. But yeah, exactly right. You know, so if you think about it, if the induction pulses have a different value based on where they are in the intake stream, you know, or in the firing order sequence, then it would only stand to reason that different length primary tubes would complement those areas. So, I mean, yeah. Okay, Music City Madness. Tony, I have a janky YouTube channel, a 69 Roadrunner. Put me, I'll take Bottle Rocket and race and video the crap out of that car and give it an amazing home. Are you near Nashville? If you're near Nashville, we could talk about it.
Hey, Fab Race Mod Repeat. That's Chris Cox, the guy that sent you the slicks. He hooked me up this week. He sent me some head gaskets from Speed Oasis, right? For this 300, because I've been looking all over for head gaskets for this 300.
Right.
So he's like, hey, man, I got something for you. And he found in the Felpro Performance Bible that they make permatorque gaskets for a 300 Buick, right?
Okay.
And so he shot them to me. He's like, hey, check these out.
So, and what's the name of his business? Let's give him a nice plug.
That's Speed Oasis LLC out of Chesapeake, Virginia.
Speed Oasis, and he has a YouTube channel.
He does. Fab Race Mod Repeat.
Fab Race Mod Repeat. So you guys go check that one out. UTG stated the 318 has all the potential of a 340, but was hindered by MFR. Any other engines out there that are diamonds in the rough? You know what, brother man? Every engine is a diamond in the rough. I see people take the most obscure and the most neglected, and you know where you find the most interesting stuff is the land speed guys that race like Monaco and El Mirage and the land speed guys, because they'll take these weird, unorthodox, forgotten, neglected, straight eight Buicks and flathead Jeep motors and all sorts of stuff, and they just turn them into magic, right? So, I mean, to me, every engine is a diamond in the rough. Those are the most interesting engines. It's like, okay, so you can do 340 stuff all day long, right? Everybody knows 340 runs. Okay. But let's talk about the engines that nobody talks about, and
right.
what it takes to get them to. That's where the interesting stuff is.
I agree. Especially when it's somebody's. I'll tell you, that's the most amazing thing is when you go to the track and you have something that's obscure that nobody's normally seeing at the track, and you lay down a wicked number. Right, and then they come over and they find out it's not a big block Chevy, it's not a small block Chevy, it's not on nitrous, it's all motor, and it's some weird combination that nobody's even thought of, a 326 Pontiac, right? That's the kind of stuff I really like, and the more obscure it gets, the more cool it is. Like there's ones out there that are performers that people just don't even know about, like the Tempest 4. The Tempest 4 was half of a 389. Right? And the 389 was a murderer in its day. It was a good motor. It's got a good bore-stroke ratio, right? But the Tempest 4 inherited all of those capabilities, but came in a little small 4-cylinder package you could run in any SCCA class.
And Mickey Thompson went even further and he cut that in half and built the Tempest 2.
Oh, right. Yeah. Just set all those land speed records.
Yeah, he did some land speed records. He actually had it in the dragster.
Oh, I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, it was like Z drags, whatever the,
Right. But and then Pontiac also had the obscure inline 6 overhead cam motor that was just awesome. That was the pinnacle of engineering at that point for Pontiac. You know, they did some neat stuff. Look at Lobo GTX says, someone give $5 to Cabral to buy a life.
Oh, I hope he was spending on teeth. I would love to get him on. If anybody knows this Brian Cabral guy, tell him I want to do a live with him. Anytime he wants to come on live, let's get him on here. Pentastar, what do you think of the 198 Slate? It's the only one I have no regard for. It was a.
It's a bastard motor.
It's a bastard motor. Yeah, it was. They only did that so that you would spend more money for a 225. Yeah, not a good motor. Not a good motor.
63 Catalina 389, no torque converter. Yeah, it'd probably need a stick in those years because it would have been what, a Slim Jim at 63.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Have I ever thought about building a flat plane V8? I have not.
Some of that stuff, like if you were to flat plane a motor, like think of the money that would be involved in that, making that work. I mean, one, you'd need a completely custom crank, right? So it's like, well, I only got 2 places in the whole United States to call. You know, I might as well just get out my checkbook because it's going to be like $3,000 for a crank, right? So your cheap motor budget, no matter what you're building, just became super expensive. It would be neat, but I mean, I don't know who you could get to. Who could you even get to build that crank?
Well, Dakota says I'll comment on one of his videos. Yeah, Dakota, do whatever you got to do. I would love to do a live with that guy.
Slant 6 versus Buick Fireballs. Oh, it'd have to be a Buick Fireball 6 to make it fair. You know what? Maybe that's what we should do. I'll find one of the Buick Fireballs and we'll do a 198 versus 198 slant shootout. They're exactly the same cube, 6 cylinders. You know what I mean? It'd be neat.
Anthony Perna, you got me thinking. Let's say you've got headers with a 3-inch collectors, but are only 2¼ inch inside exhaust. Would you benefit from running the 3-inch to 18? Yes, that's how you do it. You don't want to step down until after you're out of. And it's just find the heat. You'll find the heat signatures the same. It's going to be the same whether you've got collector or exhaust on it or not. You know, you want to run the full diameter of the collector for approximately 18 inches, 1.5 feet. That's approximate. After the merge point of the tubes.
Nova Guy says, does a set of header mufflers mess up the collector pulse? It couldn't mess it up anymore, to be honest with you, because it's in the exact spot to do it. But those things were originally designed. They weren't meant to be permanent exhaust. They're meant to go the track and pull them off.
Right, exactly. So yeah, if you've got a header muffler that has the inlet matches the diameter of the collector, then you're okay. But yeah, the header muffler was designed, like he says, they weren't designed to be run through. They're designed so that it's a quick thing. Take it off at the track and make your runs.
All right.
Jeff Starch wants to know, does the AHRA sanction any tracks in the Northeast?
Oh, well, the farthest we get is Northeast Dragway in Hertford, North Carolina. We had one up in Maine, but it changed hands, and so did the sanctioning body. Well, actually, they didn't have a sanctioning body. Sloppy Fistwad says, Dallas, if you wanted to budget bare bones machine a crank, you'd need a Cincinnati mill with a wicked 4-axis setup. And that would be an old school manual mill setup. I don't think there's anything budget about that. I'm sure that machine would cost quite a bit of money.
Does anyone know how to fix a prolapse? I have no idea what that is. Prolapse. Is that ignition?
I don't know.
Okay. What if your collector is 3-inch and your exhaust and muffler is 3-inch? Then you're good to go.
Yeah, it would actually probably work just about like a header extension.
What you want, yeah. That's ideal. But a lot of times snaking a 3-inch first of all, three-inch pipe is expensive, and snaking one front to back is a real pain in the ass. Daniel Kutchberg, hey Tony, are you going to Carlisle? You know what? There's a good chance I will be at Carlisle, but only for maybe an hour or two. Because I've got to deliver a block up to Ray Barton's. Joseph Giannini says aluminum will fix prolapse.
I don't know what that is, and everybody keeps saying, no, that's a joke.
Okay. Pentastar, have you ever built a long rod 225 198 rods? No, I haven't. In my opinion, the rod is way too long to begin with, and it's one of the reasons why I like the 170.
That's a big moth. You see that thing flying around? It looks like a hummingbird.
Okay. Have you worked on FST carbs?
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what we have to plead ignorance here. What is an FST carb?
I wonder if that's a variable Venturi, like the Fords had in the 80s.
I don't know. We'll find out. Prolapse is a female problem. Okay. Well, then I guess it's not an addition system. Break out the shotgun, Dallas.
What is that?
I don't know.
Probably for that big moth.
Oh,
that sucker was big as a hummingbird.
FST carb is a cheapo route for Holly. Then no. Well, we screw around with Hollies. Muscle City Madness. Tony, do you bypass the amp-meter, alternator gauge in your car's data gauge? No, I don't. And it's only a fire starter if you don't have a fusible link in there. Yeah. Well, okay, wait. Let's get something straight. A lot of guys will, when they put a gauge cluster in, they'll gorilla, because there's only a piece of, like a strip of Bakelite that they put between the aluminum housing and the two screws that are live. One goes directly to the battery, one goes to the alternator. So if you over tighten, you crack the Bakelite, you get any excuse for one of those wires to arc off against the aluminum gauge cluster, then yeah, you got a problem. But I myself have never bypassed one. I mean, I've had cars that had them bypassed, but I've never done it myself, and I don't find any reason to. Just make sure there's a fusible link in the line between the battery and and you won't have any problem.
So Oscar Walton saying AMC never got enough credit for their V8. The 401 was a great engine, and I don't know if Oscar watches this show that much, but I think of almost every show we talk about how awesome AMC V8s were. I mean, literally, I know last show we did because we talked about them being pro stock and Wally Booth running the cars. And but it is something that's kind of commonplace on our show where it gets brought up almost every show.
Pure stress. I saw a wolf spider today. Oh man, yeah, I know. Have you ever seen a wolf spider?
Oh yeah.
Oh jeez. I reverted back to the Stone Age and crushed it in a rage. I feel bad. Then used a gas ketchup bottle to burn the shed down.
So, if you think a wolf spider is creepy, when I lived in Australia, they had one there called the huntsman spider, and it doesn't bite you, but it's literally as big as your hand, right?
Geez.
And it's like a wolf spider, but it's big as your freaking hand, and they can flatten themselves out. And I had it like it crawled in my living room. It crawled up under the door of the living room from outside, and then it popped up. And I mean, it scared me so bad. I screamed like a woman. Like I'd never screamed like that before in my life. I've never had anything scare me that bad.
I felt bad killing it just because, like, I'd probably try to scoot it off or brush it away or do something to get it out. But I mean, yeah, you got to kill it. You got to kill it.
Ari says he saw a rat-sized wolf spider in Amarillo and he screamed.
Your friend got bit by a recluse and ruined him for a year. I got bit by a recluse. I got bit I got bit in the armpit over here. Well, it was crazy. Okay, I mean, all of the skin, like under my arm, like from my armpit to like the middle of my gut, and all the way around the front, was hard like a rock. It lasted for like a month.
Oh, I heard it rots and falls off.
Well, no, the whole
Like,
skin didn't, but like
that spot did.
That spot did, yeah.
Whew,
I don't want to see nothing but dogs and cats outside. I'm with you on that. Catch it in a Tupperware release. I wouldn't want to get close enough to catch it in a Tupperware. I'd figure out something though. Any chance you do a Malaysia and Mopar series? Uncle Tony Dodge asked me. I'll tell you what, we're doing a Malaysia or El Camino. I found out today.
that's the Colonnade. Those are the unloved series. I do like them though. But you're right. The door does weigh like almost as much as your Miata,
ridiculous.
right? Like
yeah.
It is ridiculously heavy.
Everybody watching needs to go to the Cabral's channel and comment. Yeah, I'm serious. Let's get him on here.
Not on the Wednesday night show. I don't want to talk to the dude.
He doesn't want to, but yeah, I'll do a special any night, and we'll do a fundraiser. We'll do it for charity. You know, I'm fine with that. And we'll do it for charity, or we'll do it to buy him some teeth, or whatever he wants to do.
So Wild Rose Garage says, Tony Dallas, there are a lot of snakes in your parks, and are they poisonous? I'll be honest, I'm the one that lives like out in the country, right? Like we're literally out in the country here. And I've only seen one snake, and it was a Tennessee common water snake. And it lives in the rocks behind my pool. And I just leave him there because it eats all the other snakes, right? And it's not poisonous. And my kids call him Frank. But, somebody asked right after that. See, man. Okay, American Muscle. Why is the GSX called the Hemi Killer? Because in the 80s there was a drag race between Richard Lasseter and somebody that had a Hemi Roadrunner. Is that right?
Yes.
Or a GTX.
Yeah.
And it was more or less like a stage deal. Okay. In my personal opinion,
Car Review magazine.
Was it?
Was the one that got started with that back in 1886, and it was a Buick GSX versus.
It was a stage one Buick. I think.
Stage one Buick versus a Hemi GTX.
Okay.
And the Buick outran the GTX.
Right.
All right, but it was stock for stock.
But the Buick, in my personal opinion, was a ringer. The guy, it was Richard Lasseter. He's the guy that runs the Buick, or he used to run the GS Club of America. And the thing was raced religiously every weekend. And I believe that Hemi GTX was literally like rolled out of a shop after it had just been finished and raced. And it probably was the same damn motor that Tony's taking apart in his shop right now, right? That has the main caps all dicked up. But I don't know. That was where they came up with the Hemi Killer. The other thing was was it Muscle Car Review or some Muscle Car magazine that had the list of the fastest muscle cars, right?
We did that first in Muscle Car magazine. That was doing Muscle Car magazine.
Okay, that was like in the 70s, right?
No, I did it in 85.
What was the list that had like Cobra was like 1 or 2, but then like on the fourth one down was the 70 Buick GS Stage 1.
I compiled a list of the fastest 25.
Okay.
That was in Muscle Car magazine, and it was sometime in early 1986. I can't tell you which issue. Car Review then did the top 100.
Right. Well, that's what sparked this race, though, right?
Right. Yes.
And because it was when that list came out, everybody was like, "There's no effing way that some Buick GS Stage 1 is faster than a Hemi GTX or a Roadrunner or whatever they were saying." So they staged this race, and that Buick manhandled that Hemi car pretty good.
Showroom for showroom, I could easily see the Buick eating a Hemi car. That's not a. I don't know why that's such a controversial thing.
No, a G and X.
What does need metal need a hug? Favorite song from the 60s? Oh, man. What's your favorite song from the 60s?
My favorite song from the '60s. Oh, I don't know. Was Creedence in the '60s? I think they
Yeah,
were.
late 60s.
I like anything by Creedence, really. But I would have to say Fortunate Son is probably my favorite song by him.
I'm going to say it's a toss-up between In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida and the
See, it's good too. I like so much stuff from the '60s.
Chambers Brothers. Time. Time has come today?
I don't think I know that one.
Ah, really?
No, I like, but the stuff that my dad used to get me into was like the weird stuff that came out around that time, like oh man, Lakeshore Drive by Aliotta Haynes and Jeremiah.
Yeah, I'm kind of familiar. But okay, you got to listen to You got to listen to the long version of "Time Has Come Today." Right, you'll know the song because they've used snippets of it in commercials and whatnot. But the long version is like 17 minutes, and it's like it wasn't even. They weren't even a rock group. Okay, they were a gospel. It was like three black guys, and they were like a gospel thing, and they did a rock deal, and it had to do with like the time has come, like, and it had to do with like the end of the world and going to hell.
Right.
But
it's good, huh?
Epic. It's like epic, right? Time has come today.
Someone's asking about a 215 powered Miata in the future. Is there one in the future? And I do like anything by like the Animals. I don't know if you like the Animals.
Yeah, Animals are good.
Their stuff was always weird. Like, what was it? The Tuesday morning, or is that what it is? Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon.
War was tight. Yeah, well, there was so many great. But somebody asked me my favorite. So if I had to like pick one that was like, okay, I just want to listen to something from the '60s, right? Boom, just like that. Yeah, I think that would be the
In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida.
Time. I think more than In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, but In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida too. Yeah.
Yeah. See, Mother Freedom by Bread. See, Bread was good too. I think was House of Rising Sun in the '60s.
Yeah. Deep Purple. Oh yeah.
Read R.C. Top Fueler there.
Uncle Tony, is the rumor true you're Richard Petty's secret love child? It's possible. I mean, anything is possible.
Oh man. I'm gonna put the 215 in something. I tried to sell it, and I've had nothing but a bunch of, I guess, tire kickers, if you want to call it that, because I don't have tires on it. But everybody talks, and
We got to put it in a Miata. It's got to go in a Miata. The Doors. Yeah, I tell you what, I would put the Soft Parade up there too. The Soft Parade is right there alongside In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida and Time.
See, I'm a little older than you guys, or a little younger than you guys. You're much older than me.
Right.
My favorite band is still Cake. I don't know if you ever listened to
Cake
this.
That's a good band. It's a good band. See, my favorite from the modern era, I like Cake. Cake is good. That one song, oh God.
On the Distance?
No. What the hell's the name of that song?
By Cake?
Yeah. Comfort Eagle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like that song. That's
it's calling me dude.
Yeah. And what was that other band? System of a Down.
Oh, I like System of a Down.
Oh, yeah. When I had the coffee house, I used to crank that. Like, it was just like, that was maximum volume stuff.
Talking Heads, huh? Somebody saying, how about Talking Heads? That was not really much my time frame. It really wasn't.
Yeah, well, that was my time frame. Like, Talking Heads and Elvis Costello and the B-52s and all
See,
that.
there you go. Kurt saying Alice's Restaurant. I like Arlo Guthrie. I do like Arlo Guthrie. And I also like Jim Croce. They're like in the same kind of thing. I
don't like Jim Croce. I don't like sensitive music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never heard Cake do a War Pigs cover.
Oh, yeah. I got it. You want to hear it?
Not right now. The Ramones was like a local band to me. That was like, it was weird having them like be known everywhere because they were just like a local band. Let's see. 10 years after. See, everybody, see, as soon as you get talking about music,
I know,
everybody
it's
just
like-
jumps in, right?
Yeah, with music stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like, dang. Well, now's the time to get your question answered.
Yeah.
Favorite motor of the '60s? Ooh, that's a good one.
No folk for Tony, no folk.
Yeah, well, just like fan shrouds, it'd be like no folk, fan shrouds, or EGR. We use it to profile people around here. You're looking awfully sketchy.
Fog Hat. Yeah, Fog Hat was pretty good. Anything with John Lydon in it. I'm like the world's biggest, John Lydon fan. So the Sex Pistols and PIL and anything that guy does, I'm down with it. And of course, Zappa.
For example.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that what Smoke on the Water was actually written about? Like,
Well,
for example,
yeah.
in the hotel and
Right.
Oh, and you know what? That's another badass album that doesn't get any recognition. That Deep Purple Machine Head album. There's a song at the end of that album. I can hear it. Damn it! Oh, it is so badass. I can't remember the name of it.
When I want to listen to mellow stuff, right?
The
Guess Who.
Guess Who?
The Guess Who.
I've never really got into them guys.
Really?
Yeah.
That was
I'll tell you one of my favorite bands from, and see, I'm big into Southern Fried Rock.
I hate Southern Fried
Okay.
Rock.
Well, have you ever heard of a band called The Band?
Yeah.
I love The Band, right? And it's the band is good, but
Yeah.
you don't like Southern Fried stuff, huh?
No, not at all.
No Skinner.
No. Oh God, no. Anything but. Anything but.
464 versus 454 Chevy. I'm gonna have to lean toward the Ford. I like
Zero
the Ford.
says I should be the Shroud. The Guess Who was great. The Guess Who was the Wrecking Crew, right? Those are the guys that played the backup on all of these like pop hits from the day. And of course the Monkees. I love the Monkees.
The Monkees were good.
Yeah.
Favorite car of the '60s? Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with. I'm a freak for like 67 B-body, right? Like favorite car, I'd have to go with the Belvedere because I love the roofline on that sucker.
Space Trucking. Somebody just mentioned
Yeah, Space Trucking. That's it.
Oh yeah.
That's such a badass song.
You can't not crank that.
I know.
To 11, right?
Oh man, I got that album. Like I bought it. There used to be an album, like a used album store in Murfreesboro, right? And I bought that album, and I didn't know that was their song. So I'm like listening to it, and all of a sudden it comes on, and I'm like, oh, crank that shit up, right? Space Trucking.
The Cramps. I was a drag racer on LSD.
Hey, what? First car?
Oh.
Have you ever thought of getting into other motors like Hondas?
I would love for somebody to bring me a Honda to do the contemporary things that people do with Hondas. Yeah, I absolutely look. I know a lot of like boomers, right? The down on the whole rice thing. I am not down on the whole rice thing. It doesn't mean I'll ever build one for myself. Although now I'm starting to get to be honest. But I would love for somebody to bring me one and say, "Hey, Tony, let's build this thing. I want to do this, want to do that, and that thing." Yeah, I'm all about it. So. Germans still celebrate Zappa's music, and they damn well should. Hey UTG, have you heard? Dark Machining is announcing they are producing a new Gen 3 Hemi block, totally aftermarket upgrade road system. I haven't heard about that. I hope they watch my videos.
And send you a block.
The mamas and the papas.
Oh, George Thorogood was good.
No, I can't listen to that.
No?
No.
Oh, I do. I like it. It's Southern Fried, but he's from Jersey, I think, or something, right? New York, maybe?
Yeah, he was okay. No, wait. I say that wrong. No, some George Thorogood was okay. I think it just got way too much airplay back in the day. Grand Funk Railroad was pretty good.
And I got some. Let's see, I got the Who. I like the Who. I saw them guys in concert.
The Who, right? Some of their off stuff, like the things that never made it to albums, is better than the stuff that made it to albums.
Oh yeah, for sure. I noticed they're like ZZ Top. It's like 30% of them are, when they're good, they're great, right? And then the other 66%, it's like, man, I need something to line the trash can.
The best Who thing, right, was from live at Leeds. They did a thing called Tommy's Parents, which nobody ever heard of. You tell them, hey, have you ever heard Tommy's Parents? They never heard of it. But it's the best. It's the best thing they ever did.
It's just them being them.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's how I write rules for the AHRA classes. I actually turn on those 60s and 70s records and start jamming.
There you go.
Like I have my favorite go-to album is Cheap Trick Live at the BootCon. That is a fucking badass album. God, man, every song you ever hear from Cheap Trick on the radio is from that album. And I like Kicks. A-Hole says Kicks, and I'm a big Kicks fan. And it's not even the Blow Your Fuse album.
Is that the same? Is that the Squirrels, John? It's John Woodworth. Is this Squirrels, John Woodworth? Yeah, I think I saw Cheap Trick too.
Did you?
Yeah.
That'd been a pretty good concert, I think.
Everything with a banjo and nothing with a banjo. All right. Old Greg. Oh, I know Old Greg.
David Coe asked, do you all like David Allen Coe? Hell yeah, I do. He likes our Uncle Timmy shows. I don't know if that's the same guy or not.
Is that?
I just thought it was kind of cool.
MC5, kick out the jams. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, but I got to go back. People ask me what my favorite 60s song was. No, it's not Inagata Davida. It's not Time. It's not the Soft Parade. It's Kick Out the Jams. Okay, yeah, MC5. Sorry, guys.
Thomas Thompson. I have no idea where you can get a 198 Buick V6, but I do know where you can get a 215 all aluminum V8 that would just walk all over that sucker. You could drop me an email at dallas@ahraonline.com and I will send you a 215 for a reasonable sum.
MC5 was the foundation of punk. That was the ultimate proto-punk band.
Oh, it was before the punk?
MC5?
Uh-huh.
MC5 was the beginning of punk. That and...
In the U.S.?
Oh, and Death. There was a band called Death.
Okay.
It was 3 black guys. Seriously, if you guys into punk, right? Because that's like my general speed, right? I like punk. There was a band called Death, right? And like MC5 and Death is like the birth of punk and then new wave and all of the other stuff that came about.
You see the Stooges?
Yeah, the Stooges came afterwards. Stooges was just the whole thing with Stooges was just they were wild, okay?
Right.
But MC5 was the first to deal with that, but Death was before MC5.
Oh, Los Cadaver. I'd be interested in doing something like that. A 300 Buick for my 215. I'll do that.
They had brains.
Yeah, see, I was never into the first generation of punk. I guess it'd be like my generation was like, I guess it'd be the second coming of punk, and then the ska music around that same time.
Yeah.
So which was the third wave of ska. So, but I was never into the early punk stuff.
MC5's guitarist doesn't see doesn't see why they sing with proto punk. I don't know how you wouldn't see that. Joe Brooklyn, hey Tony, I was a 73 Charger with an 8 3/4. I was given a sugar pumpkin. Is that an easy swap or are there more parts involved? By the way, Time is my ringtone. There you go. No, man, that's the easiest swap in the world, right? Pop the drums off. 5 bolts on around each axle, right? You'll see if you look at the axle, you'll see a big hole and a small hole. Well, the big hole is to put a socket through. So you take the 5 nuts out, right? I don't know if you have a slap hammer. If you don't have a slap hammer, put the drum back on backwards with a couple of lug nuts on it. Boom, boom, boom. Pull the axle out. Do the same on the other side. 10 bolts in a circle at the front. Pop the pumpkin out. Pop the new pumpkin in. Reverse the procedure. Drive it away. Back in the day, it used to take us like 20 minutes. Soup to nuts from the time you jack the car up to the time you put it on the ground and drove it away.
So Van Little's asking, what was the best street motor, Hemi or 455 Buick? You've probably driven both.
Yes, of course I have. Definitely the 455 Buick.
Really?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Was it just the torque? Was it just the torque?
Yeah. On the 455, okay, the torque just flows out of it seamlessly and quietly. It's like,
I know.
It's just the most beautiful thing. Okay?
My Suburban was awesome. I'm telling you, I was pulling that grade coming from North Carolina to Tennessee up the what is it, the Eastern Pass or whatever the hell that is, coming up the Appalachians. And it's a 6% grade, and there was trucks over in the super slow lane, and everybody was slowing down. And here's me going up with a camper at 65 miles an hour, right? And it's like in high gear, secondaries open. It sounded badass because it was your typical quadrijet wide open, right? But, well, I think that's it for tonight, though. That's 2 hours, right? That went by fast.
Johnny Cash. I was
like Johnny Cash.
I was never a Johnny Cash song. I was never a Johnny Cash fan until, right? This is a true story, okay? So I owned a coffee house in New York before we moved to Tennessee. I had a coffee house called The Grind. And I had gotten, I had some driving issues. My license was permanently revoked in the state of New York. I had like 30 suspensions. I had like 30 revocations. It was forever. Okay. So make a long story short, right? I get busted one night. Okay. So I got to go to jail. Not a big deal. Used to go to jail. So I end up having a fight with a guy over an orange. Okay. So there were like 6 of us in the cell. Okay. And the guard brought 5 oranges. So I end up fighting with this guy over an orange. Okay. So they ended up taking me and losing me in the system.
To teach you a lesson?
Yeah, because when the guard tried to pull me off, right, I shoved the guard, right? I wasn't in the mood to screw around, okay? So the way they fix you, right, they teach you a lesson, they lose you in the system.
Right.
So I got lost in the system. So I ended up in Rikers Island. I ended up in the kitchen in Rikers Island because I knew one of the guards there. So I had me baking bread to kill time, right? So make a long story short now, I get out of jail, right? I've been in there for 72 hours, okay? I get out of jail. I go back to my coffee house, right? It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I finally get back to the coffee house. And people are like, where were you? And I was like, I was in jail, man. What happened? I had to fight over an orange. And they lost me in the system. I was not in a good mood.
Oh, of course.
So we had a piano in there, right? And I had this kid, and for the life of me, I can't remember his name. But he goes to his car.
We'll call him Billy Joel, right?
He goes to his car and he gets his guitar, okay? And he climbs up on top of the piano, and he's sitting on top of the piano with his feet like where the keys are, over the cover.
Right.
And he starts doing Johnny Cash songs, Folsom Prison Blues,
right,
and all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
And like he serenaded me with all of the prison songs that he could think of.
Oh wow!
It was great. It was like the magic of the New York City coffee house in the middle of the night. That's where the magic really happens. And then because of that, I became an instant Johnny Cash fan.
Well, I have that album. I have the Folsom Prison album. Yeah. Or not? Yeah, Live from Folsom Prison. But it's a great album.
Okay, let's see.
We're over 2 hours here, Timmy.
Are we? Oh
yeah.
My God. Okay. Bruce W., any news when you'll get the Miata shift? I hope. That's the last piece. As soon as I got the drive shift, I put it on the ground and drive it. So yeah, hopefully tomorrow. I want to drive this car so badly. Chuck, if you're watching this, man, give me my drive shift. I don't care when you charge me. Just give me the damn drive shift. David Coe says, you're lucky he wasn't fighting me. I'd killed a man over orange ones. Hey, let me tell you something, right? in the moment, at that moment, in that time and space, that orange was important, and I was getting that orange. I got the orange, by the way. Peter Kovac says, another great show. Food Bar putting a link to our merch, UncleTony'sGarage.com, the shop. And, of course, there's Dallas's AHRA online, and you got AHRA eBay for your AHRA
well,
stuff.
you can just hit the merchandise link up at the top of the AHRA webpage, and it'll take you directly to the eBay page with our merch.
Matt Horn says, we are the best thing on Hump Day.
Oh, sweet. Well, I'm glad you think that. I try to bring my A game, but we definitely need to do some more hands-on stuff like we did with the first few. You know, I was thinking, damn, I should have had an HEI taken out here, and then we could have actually went over it.
Doug Martin says he had a ministry T-shirt with Jesus built my heart out of a 420. No, it didn't have a 426, and he had a 446 pack on the shirt. We all had that. Fubar just put the link to AHRA stuff.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fubar.
How far away to Slant National? September 5th.
In Jeffers Motorsports Park in Sikeston, Missouri, which is actually in the boot heel of Missouri. So it's like 20 minutes from Illinois, 20 minutes from Tennessee, 20 minutes from Arkansas. I mean, you're right smack dab in the middle of a bunch of different states. You could be in Kentucky. You can be in 20 minutes in Kentucky. So it's dead center of the country.
Kurt Wilson says we do a great job, but it's impossible to keep up with all the questions. I know. We try.
Yeah. I think we're getting better at it as the time goes on. We can read them a lot faster, and we get better at it. But I still have a hard time focusing on it as it's moving. So,
what's a tick-tock-tack? 1968 through 70 Dodge Charger. They had also the other cars that use that. The Super B used that gauge cluster. The 7 Roadrunner used that gauge cluster. But it's the tack. It's the clock. The normal clock also had an optional tack. So it's got the clock in the center and the tack around the outside.
And Stoic Steel, you said Ford 360 ? Yes, it was an FE motor. It was made specifically for trucks.
Wasn't that the 362?
No, that was the 352 was the first one, but then you had the 360, which was like later 70s trucks. But all right, guys, well, we're out of here. We will see you next Wednesday.
Yes, we're out of here. Thank you, everybody. Our mods, John, Ari, Fubar, Zero. Thank you guys again. Every night, man. Every night, every time we do a live, all of them are there. This is the UTG. You know, this is. I'm telling you, man.
The
we
core
got a
group.
special thing going on.
I know.
Right? So, yeah. Everybody who contributed super chat, thank you so much. Paying the bills, that's awesome. Everybody contributed with just good conversation. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of you. And Sunday night, 7 o'clock, our regular Sunday Night Live show. Every Wednesday night with Dallas,
Yep.
right? So make sure you come here for that. And we'll be announcing, we'll be doing another live with David Vizard. I'll get a schedule for that. And Richard Holder, I got to get a hold of. We call Richard Holder tomorrow and schedule, and we get together live there. So we're out of here, guys. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow.
Yeah. See you tomorrow, or see you next week.
I'll see you.
But Wild Rose Garage, don't weld that diff and then go race.
Weld the diff.